You know, I've been recently looking at it and I realized that the truth is we're commodities right now. People say the nice guys, red pill and all that, right? Nice guys finish last because they're betas and they act all submissive to. I acted submissive towards a person I like, not because I take it for granted. I am a slave to her. Not that I want to gain her favors. Yes, that's just one thing. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to know a role model, because you cannot blame the nice guys or the psychopaths for being the way they are, because they are brought up, most of them are brought up in broken environments, broken families. I was raised in a family that was middle class, but my mother didn't want to marry my father originally. They wanted to divorce each other. And this is where you get these kind of broken men. But the woman never put the blame on themselves, because I do not know why. I suppose it's a whole thing that you can realize about the red pill and all that. This is not a subjective problem, it is an objective problem on reproduction, sexual problems. If people want the world to say, oh, I hate these people, it makes my blood boil, oh, they're just so evil, you can't blame these people. People are a product of their environment, and even if they have their souls, they're here to learn whatever, they're here to learn what, in scientific layman terms, blah blah blah. Whatever. Alright? The world is as it is. And whether you blame others, that's the mob mentality. That's really just the easy part to point out. That's the problem. We kill everyone, we kill all pedophiles, problem will be solved. No, never. The problem will never be solved as long as humanity exists in its current state, because it does not think about it. In this capitalist age, we yearn of freedom, we yearn of democracy, but the more we see the system, the rot underneath, all the rich billionaires and all the people that are models of this is a society that is so repressed on being better for itself. You really, instead, it's like the police here. Instead of making outlets for people, you confiscate these and you tell it it's a personal problem. Go get a therapist and all that. This is the problem with the world. It does not look at problems that it can solve, but it rather looks at problems as a problem to be cut off. So when you talk about nice guys and you talk about all these people that, I'm a nice guy myself, actually, I'll tell you, to be honest, I'm a bit like, of course I demand something in exchange, not sex or anything, because everybody wants sex, no matter how kind they put it. It's just topping. It's just, I get to choose you just because you make me feel safe. Otherwise it's abusive. Otherwise it's... And here it comes in line. You cannot treat a person that has the capacity to give life abusively, because they give life. Because it's a one-sided thing. And unfortunately this is the way it is. Obviously, this is... But one of the things is that most men have what they have now. A broken, broken relationships, all these kind of things, is not only just the fault of the man, but of the person, the man's influence the environment around them. People generally never want to solve these kind of problems. We're too primitive right now for a state to solve them. We prefer to kill everyone else. People may argue against Islam and the beheading of women and all that, but just as likely they are to point the same kind of hypocritical stance against pedophiles. Of course pedophiles should be treated like they should be. In a sense, it's horrible. It's utterly horrible, but one of the things is you have to understand is that if mankind continues on with this way of an eye for an eye, it will always have more enemies, always have more oppositions to counter. You cannot always take out the root, the rot at all once. If you could, you would have to have knowledge, huge engineering knowledge, day and night, instead of spraying down like anti-mold or anti-rot on whatever's setting in, like cockroaches and all that. I'm sorry, my analogy is a bit stuffy, but it's midnight here. But that's the truth. Nice guys. Some people, yes, they're manipulative. It's the line's gone so far because blind can't lead the blind, right? A blind person has to be led by the sight, but no one cares. In a world today that we see manipulated by greed, power, ego, even relationships are selfish unto itself. You just want to have you want to have a 2-second high. And unfortunately, pornography is a huge problem. It's a double-edged sword. You want people to respect your rights to prostitute yourselves, but you also want people to hate on pornography, which is what men are doing. Women, so far, they don't care. They like it when perceptively they have over the power. And men are just lashing out against pornography and all that. But one thing too, they're lashing out against their own brothers who are falling into the same trap, their own kind. Ironic that we are born out of a womb, but can't make lives ourselves, and we are the ones who are blamed for when we are looked upon as creeps, as psychos, as perverts and all that. And people say you don't owe anyone anything. That's the philosophy of what people feel that they're successful. No, this is a whole wrong thing. This is absolutely wrong. Look at the world today. Is it getting better because we're accepting the idea that no one should owe anyone anything? Or is it that people are owing people favors, care? Whatever you do, I will give you back. We treat each other as commodities already. Why bother what's that word again? That fancy word, I forgot. Superficially placating it, Why should we tell ourselves, oh, I care about you, I don't receive anything back? Okay, that's fine, that's noble of you, but eventually it doesn't matter. Not saying that you should go and always, that's the problem. That's a line that people have to draw, that anger that comes when you are expecting something in return. It is only rational in this time where resources scarce, people are getting poorer, and the others that are getting richer, they're just getting everything for themselves. And in the harsh reality that people deem to be, that we are saying, oh, forget about him, he's out of the gene pool. if it is this kind of society that we are leading in ourselves into eugenics and all that kind of things, that we subjectively look at the lenses of morality, that he should deserve to live because he's done, he's good to women and all that, then this is really still morally wrong. And why? Just because that women have the capacity to give life, and then you should, everyone has to act in such a way that they can care for each other, not using each other, that we're abusive because people are abusive because they've gone and they've been done so wrong by their peers that they just have no way, and so they develop this negativity that they think others are pushing it. They think it's about money. Yes, it's about money. So we call it a coping mechanism. But it doesn't mean that a coping mechanism is bad. It's unfortunately inevitable. We have to deal with these problems here and now. If not, it'll just be the same. Let Mother Nature takes its course. Let a bottleneck in the human population happen, and who knows what will happen. This has been the case. It's not that it's not that most men are psychos and all. They've been taught, or they've been grown up into this, and don't blame them for being like that. These are evil people, yes, but evil people have been brought up into that vacuum. And sometimes evil people, they're good people that turn evil. They're evil people that so-called turn good, and people just accept them as good, and they accept them, but they're evil because, first of all, selfishness, that's what we call evil. Most people, obviously, it's an unwritten rule that women want to say, oh, I dated a nice guy, it's unfortunately my fault, well, he got so abusive and all that. If you could have had the means and the knowledge to come to tell him. Of course, most men don't want to take no for an answer. They want to, most men say, you have to respect people's boundaries. You have to respect no for an answer. These people, they don't have that kind of mechanism to understand these things. Or they do, but they chose to say, in my defiance of what I think, my philosophy is that I felt fed up. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about me, so I gotta act that way. And so in saying the opposite is also right. Nobody gives a shit. You gotta act that way and people will give it to you. And in a sense, this is the problem. That's what's been going on with humanity. That we don't owe each other favors when we ought to, which is really it's an ironic thing. The object of love is always the object of hatred as well, because it's like a form of psychosis, it's right. All the things about success and all that, that's just finite objects. No matter, these are just finite commodities, finite resources that always will run out. No matter how much you have, whether you're funny or whether you'll still die, and people, you'll still, no matter how well you've been, it's a selfish experience to just have that. But unfortunately, this is the world we live in. We have to emphasize these things. And so the nice guys, the people who are like oh, I feel kind of bad for them, you know, now. These people are chasing the kind of idea they just as well want to get in to the game of musical chairs. The capitalist, you know, system that we have now, getting more and more divisive, destructive. It's not the problem of the nice guy. It's the problem of whatever the image that they have brought up to put that, you know. It's always pitchforks. This has always been the case in the past. People always used to jeer at those who threaten the collective, even if it's wrong. That's why people say they hate Islam, the terrorist, but these people view themselves right as well. People say it's wrong to treat women that way. Well, you look in their eyes and you think, no, we must treat women as right. I'm not trying to say anything that's, you know, too out there, but Islam, in a way, for example, you know, people have to control their women because they want to use for pleasure. Then we ask ourselves also the same question: how do we make men feel as what a woman is feeling? She's getting penetrated. Do you want to penetrate a guy? There's the reason why also same-sex, gay, you know, LGBT and all that crap, is because they can't handle. It's good that people are switching genders just to overcome, to look on the side of what a woman is like. Because people, I don't know what to say, it's sexual high. I don't know men any favors, men don't know any favors. People want a high, a sexual high, or some spiritual unification, or some things that can help them. I don't know, it's people want to fix their mental state of mind because it's pornography and all that. They want to fix the state of mind by injecting more dopamine to that. You can't blame these people for trying to figure out what a way is to get dopamine. Do you get dopamine from work? Do you get dopamine from having sex? But you lose your energy straight after that. And most men, they want that power to to feel that high, and to feel in control, and to feel, okay, maybe if sex doesn't do it, then it's the mirage that people are wanting. You can't blame these people. They're broken, and they need to be repaired. But there are some people, of course, that are searching to be repairing because it's all about one's self-acceptance, self-awareness, to help himself and to listen to others, or to make a decision within oneself what to do. To be honest, I might be even a sociopath after my philosophy, you know. As a person, you know, I always thought that most of the times my relationship was a bit selfish. The first girlfriend I ever had was a Japanese one. It was only lasting weeks. I took her out. I didn't ask for anything. We paid ourselves. She paid it. Whether I paid or not, you know, she came to me, and it was fine. But she broke up because I don't know. I guess I forgot the reason why. Maybe it was just too long distance, or too telling I'm selfish. I didn't even know anything about that back then. People can always be blamed. Even you are a good guy, genuinely a good guy, that you aren't selfish. You date the wrong person because you attract that to yourself. This has always been a problem that humanity has, and it cannot be overcome. When you look at pedophiles, when you look at sexual rapists, when you look at everybody who's on the so-called on really the wrong side, it is because humanity just had, it's like a disease that humanity cannot fully completely cull out without fully culling out itself. That's why we have philosophies today like eugenics and all that leads. That's why people don't want to believe in a conspiracy theorist, but it really is true that few elites, the people who are really rich, the 1% so-called theory, that people want that kind of men. That's why they're trying to solve that problem, even though as unethical, legal as it is, there are criminals up there, that want to say enough is enough. I think the best way to solve this problem is to have the majority of women marry the nice guys. But the problem also is one thing. No, not marry the nice guys. Marry the rich or 1%ers and all that, that. So throughout the offspring, it's a difficult thing to say. Others say that's naturally, the way it is, and others say, it's from a dominance of the culture, the Anunnaki or the alien stuff. That I don't know. That's complicated, but once they get the offspring, can they even be guaranteed that all the offspring have so-called con? This is a con scheme, but alpha genetic traits. Everybody's well off, unless you design everybody in a genetic laboratory like Synth and Fallout 4, except fully biological. Everyone's a clone. A superhuman, genetically altered superhuman. Then you would say, okay, fine. So they so-called I was reading a radio TTS tweet. Watching a radio TTS video about how women want a partner that they need. You don't know what women need. What do women need? Honestly, what do they need? It's tough to understand drama between it. So you understand what women need, then you understand. Oh, that can be a good guy. It's all false dichotomies, a flimsy way to put on him, because women sort of go along by either what really red pill is, or what, I don't know, that part, I guess. But what men need is also care, love, affection, that, and perhaps sexual needs to overcome, or to stabilize the mind in such a way that it does not is not exposed to porn or anything like that, but developed with healthy community, tribe. Remember the K-Pax movie? They're pretty solid, Their philosophy is spot on. So there's not much jealousy that can be wedged in. And I used to remember the not South African, sorry. There was a certain practice in Africa that, this hyena guy had sex with 300 underage girls just to prepare them for a ceremony that they could have in order. There's some practices there like that the old young boy gets fondled by an old girl or something like that, or maybe they fondle each other or something. It's very difficult to ascertain because we don't really. It's very taboo in the Western countries because of their battery-like slave, uh, dehumanizing, morally, compasly, abruptly fucked direction, you call it, because they as well have all that problems to, you know. But in certain African countries, I heard that these people have the least sexual problems, and also they let the women choose to have massive orgies and all that. So it's in a certain community, but these are communities. These are not cities. These are not modernized millions of people struggling each day and under an unbalanced population. These are communities in which people know each other very well, and they keep it to that level. And if it grows bigger, then they'll have to, I suppose, even out the thing. But humans aren't very wise in that situation. Most people, they don't want to date. Most people in the Western world, they marry, they divorce each other just because I feel like it, or it's because I have some kind of you don't have the money, I don't have the looks and all that. And what dare say we tell each other that we marry because we are good guys, or we marry because he's more and better? These are vain concepts. These are vanities that women marry for. One thing we can ascertain, no matter, even if a guy is jealous, at the least he's trying to push it out there, that he's trying to figure out the values. I thought it was about chivalrous. We don't know what chivalry is anymore. Our fathers have never taught us that way. My father never taught me any of this kind of stuff. Never. Even though it was very harsh. It wasn't taught in a way that reaches the heart. That's the thing about our world today. It needs to be solved in such a way. If we want to solve sexual problems, we have to solve not the problems of women first, but the problems of men. Unfortunately, as much as sexist as it sounds, that's the truth, because women, if they've already had this figured out, then how come men are still suffering under each other? That's why men are using the problems. Unfortunately, life should not be a dichotomy. We have a binary option. Men should be just as willing to be a being that can give birth as well, just to understand in a way that, but it's not. It's a, and women, what more can we say the same? It's a drug high. That's the truth about it. And spiritually, we aren't even there yet to even think of leveling it out, which we ought to be. But because the world today is undergoing through another cataclysm, we can only watch and wait to see how sexual social dynamics are all played out. Whether there's a bottleneck of the human population again, and what will people say to their generations, their posterity in the future of what I'm sorry, son. When I was young, I chased women, and I realized it didn't matter now. But if we could let go of that and have women or us somehow come under we don't know. The differences are too fundamental. So in a sense that if we are to fix all of these problems, we have to fix being broken first. Western society, Western civilization is horrible to treat these problems It's actually evil. It's actually negative for a positive. Like, okay, say I'm successful, and I have a successful girlfriend, I have a successful wife. That's all it is. I don't care about others. I don't give a shit. That's it. And I'm not gonna say anything to you. This is negative. When people want to be positive for the sake of being positive and ignore the negative, that's negative in itself. Of course, we can't share the negativity because negativity drags. It becomes like a. It becomes in itself. It wants to drag everything else, but that's where it hurts the most because it's a vacuum. Because the only compromise for negativity. If you want to be a positive person, you've got to have empathy for everyone, even if they're evil. You have to have the advice or the solutions that people can implement to have a better society instead of casting out negativity. Oh, it's like you use force, we use even greater force. Fire with fire. That never works in a healthy society. That if we could even see, like the Venus Project, no crime, no nothing, no murders, no rapes. How do you solve that? An eye for an eye, which is stupid. You know? Really stupid. And why can't people be in love? Why do people complain that it's all the red pill and all that? It's because people. Well, I don't want to say anymore. That's about it. You know, if we have to solve this problem, I think that we have to acknowledge each other's efforts in life, pat each other for the back, not just say to each other you're expected to do what you're told as a slave because we're born in a world of we're penal. Earth is a penal galactic colony that's full of rapists and murderers and good people that just mixed and become evil, blah blah blah. The thing is, we have to put each other that if you want to care for, if you want to solve this problem, you have to acknowledge each other. No matter what. If all you do is acknowledge each other as objects, which women do to men mostly more than men do, even if men are obsessive. Men, if they got what they wanted, if say a nice guy got what they wanted, they're abusive like that. It is only also due to his own upbringing, his own intellectual stumbling blocks that he cannot figure out how. And he needs someone, some goalposts to figure out how to be a better person. Some people have it in them, some people don't. Unfortunately though, that's unavoidable because the soul exists in there. And so you cannot judge a person by its characters and traits, but that's what Western scientific materialism is. It thinks of nothing but the engines of bodies and all that, nothing but biological matter, when there is such a thing called a soul. And by that person living that kind of experience, he learns and learns and learns painfully, painstakingly through years and years. And even if he's born now as a psychopath, and people hate him for that, perhaps he's born literally in that environment, or he's born by his genetic standards, and it's still, how can you blame him? You can only blame the body, the physical body, for what weaknesses it has. And so therefore the mentality of these people could be greatly, if it was changed, it could revolutionize humanity. What if we could stop thinking psychopaths as psychopaths, but rather people who are willing to achieve that goal, and we can tweak it to say that we, you know, are nice guys, sinister kind of, you know, they're abusive, right? My dad was also, in a sense, also hateful because my mum couldn't agree with that solution. What if we could tweak it to say that we, what if you could tweak it to say, or thoroughly push it? We put guys into education and all that, not the useless education we have now, but for social education, that we say, okay, nice guys, we tell people to not have healthy boundaries, of course, you know. No, I'm sorry, I'm kidding. Healthy boundaries that people can just, because it's hard to teach a man when he's brought up to in such a broken environment that he's desperate, like, you know, you're desperate to cling onto that person because you don't have anyone. You don't have a goalpost to hang on to. A ship has no steering wheel. That's what this men are. A man with a captain. A man as a captain inside a ship. That, you know, these broken people, they have no steering wheel. How do you expect to fucking steer? And when people look at the ship crashing left and right, they blame the ship, they blame the captain, and they don't think that, oh, he doesn't have a steering wheel, well, fuck him. And so this is the mentality of people today. Capitalistic, repressed, destructive, apathetic. And so, and there's so much more to explain about. So this is what we need to know